What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, America? It's your boy, Ron and Don. We are in the building. Welcome to another Wildcard Weekend episode of Brooklyn Beards and Ball Sports Show. Listen, this is a crazy wild weekend we're ready to embark upon. But let me tell you something. Me and Don got so much to talk about this crazy weekend. But here's what we need y'all to do. Do us a favor. We need you to smash that like button. We need you to subscribe to the channel. We need you to put your comments in on our show, both for Facebook and YouTube. We really appreciate all the support that we've been getting. You know, we got a lot of episodes from the past. You see me just smashing Don all through the week. You know what I'm saying? Of each, football season, each football week we go through in the whole nine. So listen, it's going to be the same today. Nothing changes. But anyway, that's my boy Don. You see he's a dome and then all his attire there. What's going on, bro? How you feel, man?
What's going on, Rod? I'm excited. It's finally here. Everything we discussed, now the teams are going to have to put up or shut up. And so one of us come Monday night is going to be excited.
Yes.
And one of us, let's say Tuesday. One of us Tuesday is going to be happy, or both of us, hopefully both of us are happy Tuesday. Hopefully there's no, sad faces. But, let's get into it, man.
Let's get it.
Hey, man, without further ado, it is Wildcard Weekend. This is what we have been waiting for.
Yes.
Man, we got some really, really interesting games that we want to talk about. We want to talk about, scores, spreads. We'll maybe throw in some weather issues potentially. Mm-hmm. But let's get to the first game. It's the San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle Seahawks. 49ers are a 9.5 point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say this. I'll get this out of the way. I am not thrilled about playing a team 3 times in a season, right? Last year we did that with the Rams. We swept the Rams in the regular season, played them in the playoffs, and we lost. This year we played Seattle, we swept them. I think we're going to win, and I think the difference is Brock Purdy and CMC and Debo's healthy. I think that Geno Smith, although he's had a really good season. And really Seattle was expected to be trash once Russell Wilson left. Let's face it. There wasn't really high expectations for what they were going to do. But with that being said, I think that the 49ers should really take care of business and they should not play around with them. Don't give them any hope, any, glimmer of light. They need to snuff them out within the first half. And really, I would feel more confident if the game was pretty much over in the first half. Pete Carroll, who I have to say, there aren't many coaches that I dislike, but Pete Carroll is on the top of my list. I cannot stand Pete Carroll. He comes off extremely phony to me. He wants to act like he's one of the guys, but Pete Carroll is about Pete Carroll. He's extremely selfish. He comes off selfish to me, and I just don't like him. I joke around that he has a punchable face. He has a face that is punchable, and he just, for him to, it's okay that we're aware of the records, right? We know that Seattle was just getting into the playoffs, right? They kind of squeaked in. They needed a little help. And the Niners, because we swept the NFC West, have been dominant. But the fact that, they're a juggernaut and unfortunately they have to play them. I'm all for the gamemanship and because Bill Belichick, arguably one of the best coaches there is. He doesn't say much. He doesn't give much. And sometimes he gives compliments, but in the back of his mind, he knows that those compliments he looks at as weaknesses and something that he's looking to exploit. But for Pete Carroll to go on and on and on, I don't know what he's telling his team in the locker room, but if I was playing for Pete Carroll, unless this was a master plan behind the scenes, it would be annoying because it's like, why are we even going out there? If you give us pretty much, you're telling the press we have zero shot. So I don't really care for Pete Carroll. This is not just because we're playing him. I don't like Pete Carroll. And I hope that, Shanahan really puts the screws to him, because he has to know when they asked Kyle, hey, what do you think about this? Do you look at it? Do you think about playing the team a third time? And Kyle gave the right answer. We have to worry about this game. We have to win this game. It's a win or go home. This is not the NBA. This is not MLB. This is win or go home. So we have to focus on this game. All the other games that we played against Seattle are thrown out if we lose right now. If we lose, then it doesn't matter. So, I just hope that we handle business, and I'm confident that we will. What do you say?
Well, I'm going to read a couple of stats here you might find interesting. So teams that have won the first two meetings and then hosted the third meeting are 14-9 in the postseason matchup since the 1970 merger. So that's not an overwhelming, disparaging number in the sense of win and loss. So it's still kind of close, in my opinion. And I think that's your concern, as most 49ers might be concerned because of that kind of condition to be in, when you have to play a team a third time, and that third time being in the playoffs, obviously, which is the only way you could end up playing a team three times. But again, this game does not feel to me like it will be a problem for the 49ers. Okay, and I know we're going to talk about Buffalo and Miami, Cincinnati and Baltimore. This game here, like those two, to me, give me a very, very strong feeling like it's a game that you're going to probably you can almost watch on your phone while you're in the park with the kids, right? It's not something you have to really set aside your day to prepare for. You could be changing your oil while this game is on. You can, you can have guests over and mute the TV and just have it on, because this is not a game that's going to present any type of real challenge for the 49ers, honestly speaking. I mean, I would say one thing, and it was what I found to be interesting when it comes to Brock Purdy. Purdy doesn't throw very well from what we see just from statistic-wise. There's not a lot of numbers because he hasn't played a lot. We only got about 4 or 5 games, under his belt to assess. But when it comes to press coverage, he was 6 of 14 against Seattle in those games that they played when there's press coverage. Usually against the zone, he's a lot better. He's 11 of 12 in those games against Seattle, where they was playing him with the zone versus the press coverage. So that might be interesting. Seattle may schematically do something a little bit different defensively, just to try to see if they can throw Brock Purdy off course somehow, or disrupt his rhythm in that kind of sense. But the truth of the matter is that when you got CMC and Debo, right, when you can throw screens to those guys and just let them do the work. I mean, this is what Brock Purdy, this is his whole game plan. That's it, D. Nothing else. So what am I demonstrating? He throws, he looks, he watches like all the spectators are in the stadium, and he just goes like this. And that's all he has to do. That's it. And once in a while, he'll throw maybe a little, seam route down there to Kittles, and that's pretty much it. Look, Purdy's playing well. I have nothing against the kid. I think he's done a great job being in the situation that he's in. First time starting, Mr. Irrelevant, and the whole nine. But he couldn't ask for a better situation to be in with Kyle Shanahan and the plethora of weapons that he has in this game, okay? Geno, actually he led the league in completion percentage this year, which is, again, they wrote him off. He didn't write back. And that was at the beginning of the season, right? That was the first game of the season when he said that. So he kind of held up to his end of the bargain by backing those words up with a really good season. So look, the Seahawks, nobody's expecting a lot of them. They're one and done. Great season for them. They definitely they exceeded everyone's expectations, because no one thought there would be much after Russell left. And they actually turned out better than Russell did in Denver, as we can clearly see. But D, I think you might be worried about nothing. And look, I'll say this last point about Pete Carroll. Look, Carroll's been that kind of character most of his coaching career. We saw a modicum of success in New York and New England, but he didn't fare well. He actually got a big break turning his coaching career around with Seattle. I did not like what he did at USC, though. I will say he boated and left those kids hanging. And I did not appreciate what he did. I don't forgive him for. But everything else. But you're right. His face is a little punchable. He's got that punchable face that you can kind of right. He's got a face like if you punch it, you can hit him right square in the middle of the face. He doesn't have that face like if you tried to aim, you'll hit another part of his face, the middle piece of his face. So if you aim for the face, D, I think you'll get him right in the face. We're not promoting violence, by the way.
I'm not going to hit him. I'm not going to hit Pete Carroll. I would never if I ran into him. I would never punch him in the face.
No, we would. Don would not hit Pete Carroll. I don't want anybody to
right. I will say this before we move on to the next game. We'll get a score, but I don't care for your just dismissal of our game. Our game is very important, right? And I'm not going to allow you to try to diminish the value of watching our game. Let me tell you why it is an important game. Mm-hmm. Every other team in the NFC and even the AFC are hoping against hope. They're hoping that Seattle is able to do something and they have a lucky rabbit's foot and they're able to put us out early. Nobody wants to see us. The Cowboys don't want to see it. So everybody is hoping that happens. Yeah. So don't act like, oh, well, yeah, you know what you can do. You can put a 500-piece puzzle together while this game is on. No, it's an important game, and there's going to be a lot of teams, to include the Cowboys. I don't know what McCarthy's going to do, but there are going to be other people. Jerry Jones is going to be watching the game. I guarantee you that. So, America, we're not going to try to diminish what Brock Purdy has done. He is setting records for number 262. I will say this: he will be the first quarterback that has been drafted in his position to win a playoff game. That has never happened before. So Brock Purdy is making history as we speak. He's making history. Okay, so let's go with the scores. What do you have the score being?
The Niners. I got the Niners winning 33. 33.
You were saying I don't understand why it takes you 35 minutes to come up with a score if you said it wasn't worth watching.
Think about how many points that Seattle's not going to score, right?
Also keep in mind that in the Bay Area it's been raining for 11 days straight. Okay, so it's the field. Well, it's a grass field.
We know field conditions is an issue, but
right, it's supposed to be 100% chance of rain during the game. So it's going to rain. Okay. So it might be a lot more, obviously running the ball. They have a good running back. Seattle
Everybody
does.
Runs the ball in San Francisco. You know that.
I said Seattle has a good running game. They have a good running game. So, that is a neutralizing factor, right? So it balances out, right? So it's not just, offensively, there is no comparison if we just want to air the ball out. If Brock Purdy wants to throw the ball.
Let me say this. Let me. I don't mean to cut you off, Don. Let me say, America, I want you to listen to this, okay? Because Don, you got to watch Don. He's very slick talking, okay? And we're both from Brooklyn, so game knows game here. Listen, he's trying to set you up, America. He wants to take this humble road. Like, we got to be careful. This still is an important game. We got rain, sleet, snow. There's going to be an earthquake that's going to be 55 on the Richter scale.
It could be a big one. California, they're always talking about the big one.
Always.
So it's possible.
I get it. But America, don't fall for the okie doke, okay? Don knows in his heart of hearts, and we're playing a team for the 5th time this year. We don't know if we can. Don't listen to that, okay? He knows good in his heart and soul.
I got 9 to get on from head to toe, so I'm confident we're gonna win. I'm not trying to be,
but don't try to make it. He's trying to bring more.
We're doing the whole Carroll. Yeah. Oh man, the Seattle's a juggernaut. Oh my goodness, Geno Smith. He's in the MVP conversation. No, that's not what I'm saying. We're going to win the game. I am just saying. I am giving.
So then, what's your concern then?
My concern is I am giving you.
That's going to be. What's your concern?
I'm giving you recent history in the playoffs just last year because we're always in it, right? We're always playing. So we swept the Rams last year, and when we faced them again, so once again, we've had this discussion before. Part of the Cowboys problem is they look past opponents. And although teams that on paper they should dominate, they still find a way to lose. That's the difference. I'm not taking Seattle lightly.
It's not looking past anybody, right? We know that.
No, but you're trying to get us. You're trying to convince the audience that we should look past Seattle, and we won't. We're going to,
the team won't, but the fans should.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
You listen. This game.
It's a divisional game.
My co-host wants to tell you, America, all of the unprecedented records that have never been set before by Brock Purdy, right? Because he's only played for like a half hour in his career. And he's going to tell you he's the first to do this, the first to do that, the first that's going to do that. But then he wants to tell you, America, that this game they need to be cautious with, and we got to make sure.
Okay. Look. So if we talk about first, let's talk about this. I'm not sure if this. I have to research. I got to get my research department on this. But is it ever been a quarterback who missed 5 games, came in and still led in interceptions? Is that a first?
No, that's probably unprecedented. That's
okay. So that's the first. So let's focus on your teams first.
But that's not in relationship to what we're saying here. As far as you,
no, we are talking about you undermining what Brock Purdy has done. Oh, he's only played for a half an hour.
No.
Who said that?
No, what I'm saying is the reason why I brought up the Brock Purdy. What I'm saying is how slick you were trying to be. Within one breath, you're saying how Brock Purdy is going to be the first to ever throw a football over his left shoulder, the first to ever take a handoff and give it to 3 guys at one time. He gives you all of that, but then he wants to say how concerned he is about this game. I'm concerned about my game, not you. Okay. Seahawks, good team. They exceeded expectations, but they're not beating the 49ers at home. How much rain, mud, sleet, hail, snow? It's not happening. Number 1 defense, although I still think that defense is, haven't played a great offense yet.
You give a compliment, you take it away.
Saturday either. So
you give a compliment, you take it away. That's what you do. That's cool. Let's talk about a score.
33-16 is my score.
33-16. Okay, 33-16. I think because of the rain, I'm going to factor that in. And I think that we will, the Niners will be victorious. We'll win 27-14. 27-14, San Francisco 49ers. Let's go on to the next game. Next game is the Los Angeles Chargers versus Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chargers are a 2.5-point favorite. Now, we already think at the end of the season, whether they win or lose, that head coaching job is probably going to be vacant because the Chargers had an opportunity to make the playoffs last year. The coach, bonehead, called a timeout and caused them and cost them the opportunity to even be in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. With the amount of skill players they have, now granted, they've experienced a lot of injuries, right? And as we know, injuries are the great equalizer. So a team can be, Super Bowl bound, and an injury can derail that. But for the most part, the Chargers, I think Justin Herbert, at this point, with his skill set, he should be in the playoffs. This is his first time making the playoffs. And it's also Trevor Lawrence's first time making the playoffs. Yep. But we also understand that Trevor Lawrence was dealing with a coach that wanted the team, y'all go on without me. I'm going to stay on here at a bar and cheat on my wife. So he wasn't, right. he wasn't about coaching, right? Nope. So that set them back a year. But the fact is that they both face each other, right? And the Jaguars, for the most part, are the healthier team. But I think Justin Herbert, and I will say one more thing about the coach. I think the coach for the Chargers also, because Mike Williams is not playing, and that is a receiver that it's important to them. They have Keenan Allen. Of course, they have Austin Eckler, their running back. They have some other Palmer and some other receivers that fill in good. But when you need a possession, and Mike Williams is a big receiver. He's not super fast. They don't have super fast receivers, but they have sure-handed, good possession receivers that can make, assure that a drive continues. And They won't have that. And part of that is because the coach decided to play instead of playing the long game, he was short-sighted and kept players in longer than they really needed to be. Right. And as a result, one of the main receivers that, the Chargers lean on and depend on is injured. Now, if they get beyond the Jaguars, I'm sure Mike Williams will be able to play. But I just think that, in my opinion, I think although Trevor Lawrence looks good, I think this is Justin Herbert's time. I like the Chargers in this, and I think they'll get it done. But I think it's going to be possibly one of the most competitive games in all of the Wildcard Weekend. What do you say?
Well, I agree with you. I think the thing you got to look at. Well, I'll start with the coach, since you said that too. I think he's gone. I think he's gone. And even if they win this game, but they win this game despite his coaching or decision making, he's still gone. So, especially if there's a Sean Payton that would definitely take that job almost without an interview, if you will. I mean, we know we got to go through the process, but having a young quarterback like Justin Herbert, listen, Sean Payton would love to have him and be able to do for him and with him what he did with Drew Brees and New Orleans. I think the thing you got to be concerned with, though, now, Trevor Lawrence, though, the last 4 games, starting in that Dallas game, he's had about 5 turnovers in the last 4 weeks. So he's been struggling a little bit turning the ball over. Before that Cowboy game, though, he went, he was balling out. Yeah, 10 touchdowns and no picks. So his ability to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over is going to be key. So I think he's got to make sure he plays smart, protects the football, and still be able to make the throws that he can make. Kurt is a really good receiver. I think he can be able to get him, as you talked about, guys that know how to move the chains, if you will. One of the things with the Chargers, though, is Keenan Allen is very good on third down, and he can definitely keep the chains moving. But now without a Mike Williams, they're going to just be able to roll a lot of coverage towards Keenan Allen, and that may not leave a whole lot all the way through for Justin Herbert. So, I like the Chargers in this game. I do think they will win, but if they don't, I'm not surprised. I mean, Jacksonville, they're here. They are a playoff team now. Albeit it was a bad AFC South, but at the end of the day, they're a really good team. I do think they can win this game, but I like the Chargers. Okay,
so what you have a score on that?
So I like the Chargers. I got the Chargers 27-23.
27-23 Chargers. Okay, and I like the Chargers. I think it'll be a little bit higher scoring game. I like it 35-21.
35-21.
35-21. One aside, there is a lot of attention for our defensive coordinator. This is back to the 49ers, D'Amico Ryans. Just one quick shout out, one plea. D'Amico, if you're watching, please do not go to the Texans. You can go to any team. I don't want you to go to Arizona because we would be in the same division. But whatever you do, don't go to the Texans. That is a coaching graveyard. Let's go on to the next game.
I'll say
yes. Sure.
Steve, I heard Stephen A. Smith say this on First Take today, that the Houston Texans, well, he didn't call them a racist organization, but he did say that they don't do well by black coaches. Okay, as we saw the past 2 seasons with David Culley, and then of course with I'm drawing a brain freeze here. The last coach they had, my man.
Lovie Smith.
Smith, right. Yeah. So basically,
James Evans.
Yeah, there you go, James Evans. So basically what you have there is, I think, again, national media and their influence and their ability to kind of, put things in people's mind. You may not ever see any black coach there in Houston for a while, because nobody's going to take that position considering what happened to the last 2 coaches there. So just wanted to buttress your point.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the next game. Yep. We have the Miami Dolphins, fins up. Shout out to Corey. Versus the Buffalo Bills, the team of destiny, right? Buffalo is a 13.5 point favorite against Miami. Now, Tua has already been ruled out with a concussion, or I don't know if they're just not going to bring him back. I don't think he still has a concussion, but precautionary reasons, they're not bringing Tua back. For optics, whatever you want to say. Tua's not playing. So they have a rookie that is actually going to be the quarterback. I think his name is Skylar.
Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson. I think that although Miami is going to lose, it is going to be a closer game than 13 and a half points. I think Skylar, when you're playing with quote unquote house money, you have nothing to lose. And I know this is a cliche, but I will say this. If you're not expected to win, and that's why I also I'm always concerned about teams that when they're such an overwhelming favorite, right? Mm-hmm. That's why I don't discount Seattle. But I will go back to this. When you're such a overwhelming underdog, this is when teams can play free, right? Because it's like I said, like we've already discussed, it's win or go home, right? So I think he's going to put everything out there. This is the time, Mike McDaniel is a very offensively, he has offensive genius, right? He's come from, the 49ers coaching tree. And I think that why not put it all out there? Why not do some trick plays? Why not do, something? Because you have receivers, you have a running game, and you just need the receiver, you need the quarterback just to manage and I think not turn the ball over. If he can play a clean game and not turn it over and they can scheme their receivers open. I mean, they're still, 4-3 receivers. If you can scheme them open, Tyreek, it doesn't matter what team he's on. After he catches that ball, he's going to put up that do sign and keep it moving. So if he can get him the ball and they don't give Buffalo extra possessions by turning it over, yes, they're dealing in the cold, right? Because it's going to be in Buffalo. But at the end of the day, they went to Buffalo before. Yes, it was Tua. But I think that they have a shot. I don't think they'll win the game, clearly. But I do think that the score is going to be closer than any 13 and a half points. And I will say this. This weekend, there will be an upset. There will be an upset of one of the teams. It has to happen that way. It can't be all chalk. It can't be all the favorites just win. That's not how it works. And there was an article that I read that the only team, and this is just another side, I always have to reference back to the 49ers, but there's only one team that the booking houses in Vegas don't want to win the Super Bowl. And that's the 49ers, because the 49ers winning the Super Bowl would have the most impact on their bottom line. I guess enough people have taken the 49ers as the favorite to win it all. And of course, I'm not trying to create a backdoor narrative, but there is something to that. If they put it out, and this was Caesars, people can look it up themselves. Caesar says the most impact to their bottom line in this obviously playoff picture and the Super Bowl would be if the Niners go on to win the Super Bowl. That would hit them in their pockets. We know we don't like that.
Don, before I give you my assessment on the Dolphins and Bills, are you preparing us for perhaps some kind of conspiracy with relationship to the 49ers not winning the Super Bowl? Is this?
No, I'm not. But I did send you the article. Did I not?
An excuse. That's all.
No. I sent you the article though. You did see it with your own eyes.
I read the article. I read the article, and I'm sure there's some legitimacy with it. I don't disregard it all the way, but I just want for just the casual fans out there, just the people that watching the show and watching sports. We just want to know, as a 49er fan,
I'm not making an excuse.
Setting us up, should the Niners lose?
But I do have, and this is a tease, a Donspiracy that will take place in this playoff cycle. It's a big one.
Well, I tell you what, I agree with you about this weekend. Someone is going to be upset. It won't be the Bills, though, okay? If you tie that into Donspiracy, right? Because the Bills got a great story right now, right?
Of course.
You're not going to omit them, and the NFL needs Josh Allen, right? We need Josh Allen at least getting to the AFC Championship, right? So I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. So if there's an upset, I just hope it's in Dallas, right? But in Tampa rather. But anyway, I would say this: I do think.
You sure you want that?
What? Us to upset? No, because well,
Perfect. Thank
know,
you. Got him.
I don't
Got
get
him.
caught up
Because
in the odds. I'm not into
no.
that.
He
It's
said, "Yo,
Cowboy
listen."
fans know that we are the underdog. I don't care what Vegas says. Cowboys 3.5. I don't care what Vegas means nothing.
He
to
said
me.
it. He said it. Yo, listen.
We are the underdogs in this game. Everybody knows it. Tom Brady is 7-0 against the Cowboys.
And he's also 75 years old. He's also 75.
And
he's 7-0 and 75.
You got a bad corner opposite Trayvon Diggs like we do. Trust me, you can go out there and throw for 300 yards on that side of the field. Trust me, okay? And I know we'll talk about the Cowboys a little bit later, but trust me, it ain't going to be no upset.
Speaking of excuses.
That's not going to happen. But listen, I agree with you. I do think if Skylar is able to not turn the ball over, keep it honest, right? Not letting this be anything on him per se, because he's actually played pretty good. They say, what do we've got here? He threw 270 yards and 2 touchdowns without turning the ball over. So, in the games that he's going to have his first career playoff start, right? So he seems like a guy that's playing within the system and like Brock in a way, right? Can get it to your playmakers, scheme guys open, do just enough. You got a good running game of Mostert, but we don't even know if he's playing. I don't know if you heard anything on that, but I don't know.
No, I haven't heard. I haven't heard if he was playing.
He's been uncertain all week with the thumb surgery, so we don't know, what's going on with him. And if he's not there, he ran for 136 yards the last time they played. So he ran the ball well against Buffalo. So if you don't have him playing, Jeff Wilson is decent, but he's not Mostert in my opinion. And so
no, he's not. He doesn't have the speed. But I will say this: I think McDaniel is creative enough to use Waddle. He can use players out of the backfield, right? Yeah. So he can manufacture that. If in fact Mostert can't play, I think he will be able to manufacture that type of running game and create a pseudo South Beach Debo. He'll use somebody in that Debo kind of role.
And I agree. And you're right. He is, and he's very capable of that. Just as a head coach, a game planner, he knows how to scheme, and I think he can definitely do that. So I don't think it might not be as bad. I mean, I don't think any of us are here saying today that the Dolphins are going to upset Buffalo. Aside from any conspiracy, of course, I think Buffalo is still going to win this game. The Dolphins play a lot of that high single coverage there on the back end, which I don't understand. Not against a quarterback like with Josh Allen, who can, the way they run their routes, the skinny post, all he does is got to look a guy off and go deep all day to Diggs, and it's a wrap, So, he's going to throw the ball down the field and just have a field day and do what he does, because that's just what they do with that elite passing game that they have. And not to mention Josh is going to be running himself. So, and at this point in time, there's no preserving anybody, right? You're not looking to protect Josh Allen. He's going to run the ball like he's been all year. So I agree with you.
I will say one thing, just on a point that you said. You just have to be careful how opportunistic Miami is, because Josh Allen is a turnover machine. He can throw a turnover and I think that is going to be what's going to balance it out and keep the game closer. I do predict that he will have a turnover or two. And I think that is going to give Miami an extra possession and allow them to have this game closer than, the odds makers have made it.
All right, I like that. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I would like to see that. It'd be a good game, though. So I got a score of, Miami losing this game. So I've got the Bills 30 and Dolphins 21.
Okay. I like Buffalo to win, and I like the score to be 28-20.
And 28-20.
Okay. Next game, we have the team that you love to talk about outside of the Cowboys, the New York Giants, football Giants.
Giant fan on the low. I just want to let y'all know he cheats on the Niners every now.
I love New York. I love New York. I'll say that I love New York. And so although you fought it as much as you could, now we do have to talk about the playoff team, and they happen to be the New York Football Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. And I will say this. I have this as the upset of the week, of the weekend. I think that the Giants, I think Brian Daboll And the New York Giants can do enough to beat Minnesota. I think Minnesota, I shouldn't say they're a fraudulent 13-3, 13-4 team, but I do believe that I think that Daniel Jones will play well enough to win the game. I just this is somewhat of a prime time game. I mean, all playoff games, regardless our game is early, but it's all prime time because there are implications on the outcome of the game. Depending on how you play will directly affect if your team goes on and plays next week or if they're home watching the rest of the playoffs. Right. So I think Kirk Cousins, he doesn't deal well with pressure, but they do have a good team. I don't know what the recipe is, but it has been shown that Justin Jefferson, as dominant as he is, can be shut down. He was shut down against the Packers.
Alexander,
and he said it was a fluke. And he had a decent game the first time they played. No, he had a really good game actually. First time they played, and Alexander said it was a fluke. And he actually backed up what he said and shut Jefferson down. So I don't know if everybody,
Diggs did too. Diggs did 2 years in a row. In fact, he shut him down. I know that doesn't get a lot of.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, Diggs shuts down Jefferson every game. 2 years in a row he did. But go ahead. As you were saying, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, no problem. So maybe people are making phone calls and asking, what did you do? What kind of coverage was it? Is he? Can he not take? Some physical kind of tenderize him. Like what throws him off? Because for the most part, he's a very consistent wide receiver. So it's not boom or bust. No, but you want it to be bust this weekend, right? So I think the Giants, Saquon Barkley, their receiving core, obviously Giants had a lot of injuries in their receiving core, but I think they will work it out where obviously Daniel Jones is an extension of the run game. And when you have a really good running back, as they do with Saquon Barkley, defenses are focusing so much on him that it opens up different, kind of avenues, Madison Avenue and 7th Avenue, for, Daniel Jones to run through. And I think he's going to have a really good game passing and running. I think he's going to have probably, I would say, at least 75 yards rushing, which is excellent for a quarterback. And of course, Saquon is going to ball out. And I like them to upset Minnesota. What do you say?
Well, I say too. I think this is the game. This is the upset game. I definitely like that. They almost had him in week 16. Actually, they played really well. Should have won that game. The Giants actually are third highest. Daniel Jones is in the league on play action. Okay, 75% of his passes he completes on play action on third down. And so what you have there, I think, is you've got some percentages that work in your favor. When you look at the Vikings and their defense is second to last when it comes to, they give up 10 yards of play on third down. And so, that bodes well for them, the Giants, that is. The Vikings are the bottom 10 in defense. They give up 120 yards per game. So if you got a Saquon that's running the ball well, that obviously strengthens your play action, which Daniel Jones is very good against. He actually did very well against them in their matchup in the regular season there, throwing to the outside of the lines. He got about 115 yards throwing to the outskirts of the perimeter, if you will, right? Which opens up a lot of big plays for them. So Daniel Jones, again, and I, like you hate Pete Carroll, I hate the Giants, right? I don't like anybody in the NFC East for that matter. I want them all to just crash and burn. Don't like any of them. I would love to see the Giants fail this Sunday, but I do think they will beat. They'll beat the Vikings. And you know what it is, the Vikings, it's unfortunate, right? Here's a team that has won, 12, 13 games this year, and they still get no respect, right? Nobody. I mean, you could talk to anybody in the NFL about anything, okay? And in relationship to teams and who was dominant and their top five, if you will, week after week, and the Vikings hardly got anyone's respect. And it's unfortunate, you know, and I'd be honest with you, I just don't think it'll change. I don't think their defense is good enough. Their defense is not. They had some of that Mike Zimmer defense that they used to have a few years ago when they had the Xavier Rhodes and those guys there and Anthony Barr, when they had some really good Pro Bowls and All Pros. With this type of offense now, with Jefferson and these guys and Cook, listen, this team would be something to reckon with, but it just didn't pan out for them. They got a good offense now, but their defense is not really good. And I think the Giants will upset them. I think the Vikings should win the game, but I'm not surprised if the Giants happen to beat them.
Okay, so what do you have as a score?
So I've got the Giants in the upset, Mr. Don, and I've got the Giants actually. It's going to be 29-25.
29-25. And I didn't mention that Minnesota is a 3-point favorite. I do.
Okay.
So you have the Giants winning 29-25?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I have the Giants winning. I think it's going to be 27-17. 27-17 for the New York Football Giants. Okay, let's go to the next game.
You think the Giants defense will stop their offense like that, though? Do you think so?
Let me tell you why. I think that Kirk Cousins
and pressure, they can get
and perception.
They get blitzes.
I think perception is reality, and I think that the reason why, although they have a prolific offense, that no one has a lot of faith is because of Kirk Cousins, right? Absolutely. So you would think in the biggest game, it doesn't matter what his stats are over the season, but when it comes to crunch time,
right?
That whole, even when he had the chains on and you like that and he was dancing and all, it didn't seem authentic. It was fraudulent because can you maintain that, right? You have to, it's okay to have swagger and it's okay to have confidence, right? When you're winning, but did we really believe that? I mean, because really for a large part of it, they were in charge of their own destiny. So they could have, they were in contention to get the number 1 seed. They were in contention to get the number 2 seed. But what happened? They started to drop games that they should have won. Really, they're a superior team to the Packers. But if a team has the mental edge, right? And clearly the Packers have the mental edge over the Vikings, and they have the mental edge over the Chicago Bears, right? So it doesn't matter how bad he plays. But when he plays, we're talking Aaron Rodgers. When Aaron Rodgers plays Chicago, it doesn't matter if he was just coming off from a retreat and his eyes were rolling up in his head. When they suit up, he's going to beat the Bears. So I think mental edge, I think that might be a roadblock in Kirk Cousins' head where he's not able to get over it or he gets overwhelmed. And people kind of feel like it's that fear of success. Just like when people say dogs, they can sense fear. All of the other NFL teams that play Minnesota fear, they sense that fear that Kirk Cousins has, that, oh man, we're about to be successful. And then he goes into his shell and then he starts throwing interceptions. He gets off script, and then that's where the mistakes happen. So, I think that perception is reality as far as it, definitely with Kirk Cousins.
Gotcha.
Let's move on to the next one, which is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I will say this. Good for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has decided that, you know what? I'm going to protect myself. And since you guys do not have faith in me and you do not want to, secure my future, why am I putting my body out there to be hurt, only to be probably, if I'm injured and my career is over, I'll just be discarded in the pile of quarterbacks that could have been and promising quarterbacks that never really achieved, right? And let's face it, Lamar Jackson has already done enough to get the bag, right? And yet the Baltimore organization doesn't have faith in him. So he has proven that by the way he has played, he played well enough for them to be in first place. at the time of his injury, and since then they have dropped game after game after game. Now they have won some games, but overall the team would be so much better with Lamar Jackson. And so I'm happy that he's made a business decision for himself, because I want to play for my boys and I want to be there for my team. That and 50 cents will buy you a cup of coffee. So he needs to do what's in the best interest of him and his family and his parents, his mom, and generational wealth. He needs to focus on that, right? Because Baltimore is clearly making business decisions, and they don't value that. Hey, this whatever contract that he's looking for, we think that is a risk to us, financially, to give him that much money and give him that contract and that guaranteed money. So I think Cincinnati, because they have a very, very good team offensively, and the defense has played better. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, he's laid back and he has like a kind of cool, calm swagger. He's great in pressure situations. Yep. I think that they will ultimately win, and I think by them, Cincinnati Bengals winning, it's a win for them, and it's also a win for Lamar Jackson. What do you say?
I agree. Couldn't agree. I don't disagree. Couldn't disagree with anything you just said regarding Lamar and even the outcome of this game. Lamar has to do what's in the best interest of him. No question about it. Injuries are part of the game. And I'm not trying, obviously, to project nothing on him, but I'm saying, right, you got to think of your career, because the way he plays the game, he's bound to get hurt again. So the truth is, you got to protect yourself now, get your bag, because he's not going to stop playing the way he plays, because that's to his strength. And that's what makes him Lamar Jackson, right? A league MVP. And he is the team. There is no Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson. I don't care how good your defense is. You got a lot of teams with good defenses. I was listening to someone mention that today. I think it was on golly, his brain, get a brain fart already. Forgot the guy that was talking. He was hosting a show, but he was saying you got a lot of teams with good defenses, right? You've got Washington, you've got the Washington, you got the Saints, right? You got a lot of teams that have really good defenses, and the Denver being one. But without an offense, you got nothing, and that's what we're going to see even today in this weekend's game against the Bengals. They're not going to prevail much. Sorry, those quarterbacks don't cut it. They're not going to do anything. This game is, I'll be honest, I don't even have anything to say on this game, honestly. They'll run, I guess, Dobbins as much as they can and see what they can get out of that, and hopefully, some could happen. And, some, as you often talk about, something could be that great equalizer for them. Of course, I'm not hoping that no one gets hurt, but what I'm saying is that, if they get a couple balls bounced their way, it could make it interesting, right? But at the end of the day, They're not beating the Bengals. The Bengals got way too much firepower. They're playing really great. You talked about Joe Burrow. So nothing to add there, too. I don't have anything to add to that game, other than a score that I would say I've got the Bengals winning this game 27 to 14.
27-14. Okay. 27-14. Oh, by the way, Cincinnati is a 9.5-point favorite.
Wow.
And what was your score again? I'm sorry?
27-14.
27-14. Okay. I think that Cincinnati will win. And I think that the score will be 30 to 17. And I will say this. I was going to save it towards the end of the show, but now that we're kind of discussing the team, I have my Donspiracy that I'm gonna step out on a limb here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say this. There will be, so my question is, Atlanta, right? The Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be the host city if Buffalo and Kansas City make it to the AFC Championship game. Right. So I don't think, now my question is, I'll say this. I don't think that it will come to that. I know that I don't think Kansas City will. How do I say this? Kansas City is not going to make it to the AFC Championship game. It will be between. It'll be between Cincinnati and Buffalo. I think they are going to get that rematch, that the game that was canceled. I think that they will. I don't think it will come to that. I think Buffalo will somehow, some way, get home field advantage. What do you say?
Oh, okay. What? Okay. All right. Let's look at this here. So if Kansas City,
Is that possible? I think that's possible, right?
let me look at this here, Don. So Kansas City's the number one seed, right? And then they would play the lower seeded team. So if let's just say if the Chargers beat Jacksonville, right, and Cincinnati beats Baltimore, they're going to end up playing the Chargers. So because they would have to play the lower seed, and so they would beat the Chargers, and then they would play the winner of, or yeah, because the Dolphins will lose to the Bills. Yeah, so they're gonna either play the Chargers or Cincinnati in the divisional round.
So it won't get to. You're saying it won't get to the AFC. There's no way where those teams will be able to repeat the AFC champ unless it's a huge upset.
Right, unless it's a huge upset. Right. So those teams would definitely have to play in the championship game.
So the Chargers, if the Chargers play Kansas City and beat Kansas City,
right? Which
yeah.
You saying that's going to happen? Is your Don Spiracy predicting a loss in the divisional round for the Chiefs to lose to perhaps the most probably predictable outcome, that they would lose to the Chargers if they were to play the Chargers? I don't see that happening.
Okay, well, scratch that.
Because Cincinnati would then play Buffalo in their divisional round, and then you'll have
that would be the rematch.
Yeah, so that will be the rematch. Oh, trust me. Let me tell you something. The NFL thought this out a good while. You know what I mean? So,
they're going to orchestrate that rematch.
Yeah,
I thought it would kind of. I thought it would realign so that those teams would play each other in the AFC Championship game, and then the whole factor of home field would not even matter, right? Because I think it only matters if the Chiefs and Buffalo play each other, that they have to go to a neutral site.
Right.
I was thinking it through and saying, okay, is there a way that they can make it happen where Buffalo gets home field advantage and they're playing some other team other than the Chiefs? But it appears that can't be the case. It would take a huge upset. Yeah. Although I don't think that, I will say this, I don't think that the Chiefs will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl.
I think somehow, some way.
You got Buffalo?
I think Buffalo, yeah. I do. I think
according
Buffalo.
to Don Spiracy.
According to Don Spiracy. Right. Not based on what team I think is the best and not based on all of those factors. Okay. I think overall, it's a good story that I think the NFL wants to keep riding out with.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, last but not least, we got the big game on Monday. They ain't got to share it with anybody. That star sure looks good on that helmet. You got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
Dallas Cowboys. And my co-host Rod said that he's hoping that there is an upset in Tampa Bay. Yep. Well, Dallas is a 2-point favorite. So that means the upset in Tampa Bay would be Tampa Bay actually beating the Cowboys. But we won't go there. I'll say this. I think, honestly, I've been saying all week that I thought that, and I'll stick with this. I think if Dallas plays and Dak plays a clean game, and that means turnover free, fumble free, I think that they can beat Tampa Bay. They will have to have a good game by Micah Parsons, right? Whether he has a club on his hand or not. He's going to have to put pressure because we know the great equalizer is rattling Brady early and often. Absolutely. If you can get Brady frazzled, then he starts, he's uncomfortable. He starts grounding balls. He doesn't want to get hit. And honestly, what 45-year-old wants to get hit? You know what I mean? Right. So, putting yourself in his shoes, professional or not, who wants to get hit? By a 20-year-old, right?
Right.
So, realistically speaking, I think if they get to him early and they can hit, put some hits on him. Take a penalty and get a late hit. Because from the psyche of Tom Brady, that will impact and that will pay big dividends down the line in that game. But if he gets comfortable, right? Because you already said that one side of your defense is suspect. If he gets comfortable and he gets a lead, I will say this. Tampa Bay will not give up a lead. If they get a lead on you guys, then it throws you guys out of kind of your flow, because now Dak has to throw the ball more because you got to catch up. And although, yards wise, he'll make plays, I don't think that's what you want to do. You want to apply pressure to Tom Brady, get him on the ground and get him frazzled, and then let your offense work. You know what I mean? Because they have Tampa Bay has some defensive injuries. So I do think that, if Dak plays a clean game, and that is that's the caveat. If he plays a clean game and does not turn the ball over, I do think that the Cowboys can squeak it out. But let's keep in mind, this might be Tom Brady's last year in Tampa Bay. I do think he may go to the Raiders. There are some teams that he can go to that he is more familiar with, that he can pick right up. They have weapons, so it wouldn't be a drop-off from what he's already doing and who he's playing with. So I think that there's a shot. But I think it is vitally important that Dak plays a clean game. And I think if Dak turns the ball over, I will, like I had been saying for weeks now, you guys will go home. What do you say?
Well, listen, D, I really do. Listen, I have to say, I appreciate you saying that. It really makes my heart feel good. I thank you for the kind words, and thank you for, saying these things that would bring so much encouragement to my heart. My heart, it does not heartburn to be here,
We had a time.
Saying some good things of what the Cowboys could do. If they do this, then they could possibly win. But D, I just don't think we'll win this game. And here's why. I love your point when you talk about the pressure. Yes, if the Cowboys can go back to what we had in the beginning of the year, get pressure on Brady, particularly up the middle, because Brady's not a mobile quarterback, right? So he can't even evade pressure. We get pressure up the middle, because what we want to do is rattle him, all to your point. And what we really want to see Brady do is cussing his offensive lineman up. If he's cussing and throwing tablets, we got him. Okay, we know we got him. But that's the only hope we have, is to get pressure on him. If that doesn't happen, this game is over. Okay, Vita Vea, Akeem Hicks, they're coming back. They'll be playing in this game. They're 6-2 when those two studs in the middle are in there. So we're not running the ball at all. Zeke is going to average 3.4 inches per carry, okay? Tony Pollard, it's not happening. Unless we're able to run wide and get creative with some screens and be able to do some things to take guys off the mark, because the Cowboys have been deplorable running the football since Terrence Steele went down for the year. And we are not going to be able to run the ball against this team. Not at all. And Kellen Moore, for whatever reason, he has I don't know what's wrong with his brick brain, but for whatever reason, he loves to run the ball on first down up the middle. Like as if we just got this great push coming in. Now, Tyler Bionage, our center, is coming back. That's great. We need him back in the lineup. He'll be there, but we're not moving Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks. Those big bodies in the middle, they're not having it. We can't run the ball. So now it goes further into your point with Dak. And I'll agree, D. I'm going to say it on the show. You have been warning me all year long. And I'm like, interceptions, don't worry about it. It comes at the times when it doesn't even matter in the game. Dak will overcome. He's 8-3 as a starter, despite leading the league in interceptions, but only playing 2 games this year. It doesn't matter, right? We got it. No, D, you're over-exaggerating. There's no big deal with interceptions. You know what? You've been saying it, my friend, all year long. And I say to you today, on this day, okay, on January the 13th of the year of our Lord, okay, interceptions are vital and they're crucial. And Dak, particularly the way he looked last week against the Commanders, if he does that this week on Monday, it's a wrap because he's going to become one-dimensional, right? Because we can't run the ball. And now you got to put it into Dak's hands. And all they're going to do is roll coverage on CD. So that means I have to rely on Schultz, Noah Brown, and Michael Gallup. And a trifecta of tight ends, along with Schultz, with Hendershot and Ferguson. So D, I'm concerned. I'm worried, okay? Because if Dak has to throw the ball 37, 40 times in this game, Dallas loses. We don't have a winning record when Dak throws the ball more than 30 times in a game, okay? It's problematic for the Cowboys when we become one-dimensional. So you got Tom Brady, who now does not care about a regular season. Forget the 8-9 and the bad NFC South. Nobody cares about that. It's Tom Brady. This is what he plays for, right? This is why he comes back year after year and can play at 150 years old, because it's the playoffs, right? That's all. Just win enough to get here, and he's here. And Dallas is 1-4 in grass. We don't play well on grass for whatever reason. Not that we don't play well on grass, because the games that we lost in grass were all close games. Jacksonville, Green Bay. Okay, we had some tough losses this year on grass fields, right? Washington we saw last week, but Dallas, we don't have the speed that we need on the grass, right? It's a different whole element with the turf. So with all of these things not working in Dallas' favor, the only hope we have in this game is to put pressure on Tom Brady and hope that we can get creative enough to get our guys open so we can offset a run game that's not going to exist at all. Trust me, it's not. We'll try the first couple of series and see what we get. But Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks, 6-2 when they're in the lineup this year. Those boys don't have it. That's a big front up there, and they're not letting Dallas get through that. Like you said, Zeke gets older with every carry. Okay, not every year, every carry he gets older. Okay, so it's. I just don't see Dallas winning this game. Now, the fan in me, you see this little star on my heart. The fan in me, of course, I want Dallas to win. I'm going to celebrate our victory. I'm going to be rah-rah because I'm a Cowboys fan since 77. I got every right to do it, but I'm a realistic fan. And when I look at it from a football perspective, and you look at it from just the schematics of things, and just historically when it comes to Tom Brady and how the Cowboys don't play well on a big stage, how we've been, can be a major disappointment, and how inconsistent we are, even as a 2 year in a row 12-win team, you have to just prepare yourself to know that this could be it. Dallas is going to go home, one and done, right? And Brady's going to move on. That's going to be another little story for them. Dallas losing, Brady moves on. Brady won't go far, but he beats the Cowboys, and he walks away 8-0, and that's what you have. So that's my take on this game, D. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, brother. You're just a good friend to me, Don. I've known you over 20-something years now, and I appreciate you saying that. I really do, man. And thank you for thinking Dallas will win this game. It does encourage my heart.
They do have a chance. And I will say this. I think that the key to you guys winning, because to a benefit to the Cowboys, and I will say this, is the fact that Tampa Bay doesn't have a running game either.
No, they
right? Don't. So that's one. So Tom Brady then becomes one-dimensional, right? Yeah. So you got you have Rashad and you have Leonard Fournette, but Leonard Fournette is getting old per carry. Yeah. So
even though he ran 100 rounds on us in game 1 of this year, but that was
a different Leonard Fournette. That was a different. That he was fresh. He was fresh then. So I think it's a little different. He's dealing with I think he's dealing with a Liz Frank injury in his foot. So so he's dealing with that. So I don't think I think they're shooting him up. He's playing through it, but I think he's lost that burst, right? And so obviously the running game has suffered. I will say this. The key person, even more than Dak Prescott, is going to be, in your terms, speed. Between speed and feed, I think Tony Pollard is an extension of your wide receiver core.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to have to lean on him. I do see him having a really big game, and I think he'll be the difference maker.
Well, can I tell you what? Can we borrow Kyle for just this weekend after y'all win
absolutely
on Saturday?
Not.
Can we borrow Kyle and just maybe get a game plan?
You got Sherwin Williams as your whatever, Sherwin Moore, whatever that paint company. That's your offensive coordinator. You have to deal with him. But mind you, he's not really creative, but yet he's getting head coaching.
Oh, he's been getting head coaching opportunities, both college and NFL.
And if he gets a head coaching job before, I'll say this, I'm going to have a major problem with this. If he gets a head coaching job before Brian Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy, and DeMeco Ryans, I'm going to have a major problem because all of them are more accomplished. Leslie Frazier. And all of these guys should be getting action. Leslie Frazier, I'm saying.
I just think he's a good DC. Look, he bombed in Denver, though. I mean, they love
recycling coaches. They love recycling coaches, right?
They do.
I mean, how did Pete Carroll do in New England?
Well, look, if you
sometimes it's better the second time around.
If you're going to talk about actually, Seattle was his third.
That was actually third. That's right.
Yeah. So
I mean, he had success in USC until things got hot, and then he exit stage
that's
left.
What really resurrected him, right?
Correct.
I mean, he left the NFL, went to USC, won a couple of national titles, and came to back to the NFL. But listen, but I think with Kellen Moore, right? Kellen Moore has led the Cowboys to number one offenses, okay? Last year, we were the number one offense. This year, we were the number one offense since Dak's been back, right? Which means nothing. Means nothing, by the way. But statistically, he does put up points. You know what I'm saying? And so if you look at the overall of everything, right? He is a good coordinator, but it's his in-time play calls. And sometimes he doesn't use his weapons to the fullest extent. Kyle Shanahan, McVay, I mean, outside of this year, of course, but McVay, Shanahan, these guys know how to get the best out of anybody. Don, you and I can be on the 49ers today, and Shanahan will find a way to get us the ball, and we will have a taste of victory in the end zone. I don't care if it's a goal line play. He'll run you out. Because Shanahan is the kind of guy like, yo, you in the third row, just come and run in motion for me. I just need you to run in motion. Just you, right? Ball boy, come. I just need you to just, come behind him, run this way, come back. We're going to fake it, and then we're going to run. And you know what? He keeps defenses on their heels, and you don't know. And so, Kyle, listen, because it's all about deception. That's all it is. And Kyle and Kellen Moore just doesn't do that. He just doesn't. He doesn't do any of that stuff. So it's just I don't know. He just lacks creativity at times. But I agree. If he gets a head coaching job, I don't think he's more worthy than Bieniemy or Brian Leftwich. I don't think he's more worthy of those guys for a head coaching job because those guys have been doing it and they've done it with great quarterbacks. So yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so let's before we wrap up, let's get a score for the Dallas Tampa Bay game.
Okay, so Dallas Tampa Bay. So I've got the Bucs winning. I got the Bucs. I never even thought about a score. So I got a score, Don, of
we're about to miss the game. I mean, what's going on? We're gonna miss the game soon.
All the playoffs by the time.
All right.
Right. Okay, so 27 24.
27-24?
Yeah. That's
27-24 Cowboys.
No, Bucs.
Oh, Bucs. Okay.
27-24.
Okay. I am going to go with Tampa Bay. I have Tampa Bay winning. I will say this but I will say this. If Dak, I think the Cowboys can win, but if Dak turns the ball over, which I don't have faith he will not turn the ball over, I think that's going to be the undoing. So I'm going to go 21-19.
Who?
Tampa Bay.
Dallas? Tampa Bay. Okay, 21. And then Cowboys 19. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be Whatever it is,
That's
it's going to be under that spread. You best believe that. But listen, Rod, we're going to see. This is. Oh, one more thing we need to discuss.
Yes, sir.
We've all put our picks in, and now it's the playoffs, so it's important to have a little something on the line.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do, what we decided in pre-production, is that we're going to put our pride on the line. So the person that we've made our picks, the person that is we'll do this. The person who has the best playoff record will have to wear the other team. So in my case, if you have more wins in the playoffs, as far as your predictions, I'll have to wear a Cowboys hat. Excuse me, so my throat gets clogged as soon as I start talking about Cowboys. I'd have to wear a Cowboys hat to our next episode, right? So we'll discuss which episode that we'll actually have to do it, and vice versa. If my picks, if your picks, or let's say my picks are better, my record is better, then you'll have to wear some 49ers gear. Now, what we do need to create is a tiebreaker. So we'll make Monday's game the tiebreaker. So let's just say right down the line, we pick all the games, because I don't think we really went against each other too much in our predictions. So we'll base it on who is closest to the final score.
Okay.
On Monday's game, right?
Okay.
So if I whatever you have the game being 19-20, you have 24-27, I have 19-21. So those are all the scores. This is what we have, and we will base it on Monday's game, who is closest to the final score. And then whoever wins that, if we all are down the line, aligned, then you'll be wearing a Niners hat come next week. So that will be beautiful in itself. But I'll say this, I think overall this should be an exciting weekend. Once again, it was great talking with you, man. Cheer up, man. Cheer up. You got a lot to look forward to, man. It's a new year. It's a new year, man.
Yeah, it's a new year. New year.
Same team, new year, right? But shout out to Infinite Audio for the music. Shout out to Kingdom Creative for the production. I mean, you see the slides and all. Listen, we're doing some stuff here. Right? And of course, my co-host Rod. Listen, we appreciate it, and all of everyone who's watching. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the love. We appreciate everything that you guys do. Please keep the comments coming. Our takes are out there for public consumption. And if we have some crazy takes, please give us the business. But if we aligned and we were accurate, then give us some love on it too.
Tell us.
We appreciate it. Once again, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook page. We greatly appreciate it. It helps us out tremendously. And until next time, peace.
Peace.